Hi, my name is Alyssa, and I'm the deliverability lead here at ConvertKit. Today, I'm going to talk to you about list bombing. We're going to talk about what that is, why it happens, how it can hurt your deliverability, so how it's really important to be able to prevent it, and also how to identify if it's happening to you. So first off, if you haven't heard of list bombing before, this happens when a malicious person on the internet runs a script that adds a bunch of email addresses to your sign-up forms online. And these people didn't actually sign up to be on your list, but oftentimes the email addresses do belong to real people. This happens to forms all over the internet. They can be sign-up forms like the ones you're probably using, or just other types of forms. Any kind of form where you can enter an email address, this happens with. So one of the biggest questions I get is, why would someone do this? Who cares about, adding a ton of people to my sign-up form? So there are a lot of different reasons why people might do this, but the most common one I've heard of is a spammer or bad malicious person on the internet might buy a list of logins, for example. Let's say logins to a bank account. So if they want to access that bank account, they don't want the person who owns the account to know that someone accessed their account, because then they can shut down the activity quicker. So what they'll do is they'll put those email addresses that are used to log into a bank account through as many forms as they can find on the internet, which then floods that person's email inbox, and they don't get the email from their bank saying that there's been suspicious activity, for example. So this is why you might see a bunch of weird looking, strange email addresses come through your form. The reason why this can hurt your deliverability, even though it's not your fault this is happening to you, it can really damage your sender reputation, because, again, a lot of times these people are real humans and they didn't sign up for your list, and they might not know who you are, but suddenly they see an email from you in their inbox, and they don't know about list bombing, but they just know that they didn't sign up for your email, but they received it. And so it's very common for someone with list bombing to have a really high number of complaints, which happens when someone marks your message as spam. And this is one of the biggest negative indicators to mailbox providers like Gmail and Microsoft, that your mail isn't wanted and that it belongs in the spam folder, which is not what you want to tell mailbox providers. So your goal should be to minimize complaints and other negative actions. And you want to do that by making sure that list bombing can't happen to your forms. So let's talk about how to prevent list bombing. Luckily, if you're using ConvertKit forms directly on your site without any sort of integration, we do have automatic bot protection enabled. It's really awesome. We have all kinds of tools that use things like machine learning and looking at the activity of someone when they're viewing your site and submitting your form to identify whether it might be a bot or not. If it looks like a bot based on the way it's acting on your website, then we will show the reCAPTCHA, and if the person is a human, they can click "I'm not a robot." If they're a bot, they won't be able to fill out that reCAPTCHA, and they won't be able to submit the form on your site. If they're a human, they check "I'm not a robot," they're on your list and good to go. So that's great if you're using ConvertKit's forms directly on your site. If you are using some sort of integration that ties that integrated form to your ConvertKit account, that bot protection won't be happening. So you'll want to make sure that you add reCAPTCHA on that integration form you're using. And then regardless of whether you're using the ConvertKit form directly on your site or an integration, I would highly recommend using double opt-in. So what that means is, in your form settings, you'll check the box that says to send the incentive email, but you will not check the box that says auto confirm subscribers. So what this means is anyone who signs up to your form will get an email confirming their subscription, and they just need to click a button in that email that says confirm subscription, and that will ensure they're not a bot. If you don't want to do the double opt-in, then I would highly recommend you use ConvertKit's forms directly on your site so that our automatic bot protection will help keep you protected from those bots. So you might be wondering, well, how do I know if this is happening to me? It's not always easy to tell. Sometimes it is easy to tell. So a few of the signs of list bombing are strange, kind of gibberish in any kind of field you're collecting, like first name or last name. You might see a combination of numbers and letters that don't make sense. That's a good sign that it's not a legitimate sign up. Another sign is if you see a bunch of email addresses coming through with lots of dots in them before the @ symbol. Yeah, that's one thing that bots do. So that's another sign. And the third sign would be if you see some people complaining about the confirmation or incentive email. So that very first email they receive from you confirming their subscription, or maybe just the first email they get. If they're complaining about that, it's typically a sign that they didn't sign up for your list. So it's a good sign that they were added through list bombing. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, feel free to ask our support team or reach out in the community. But I hope you can stay away from those bots and keep your deliverability healthy.